Good afternoon. Phil Lindeman with your news from Avalanche Physical Therapy on Krystal 93. Krystal listeners are responding to news of an illegal construction road at Keystone, where the Forest Service has shut down the Bergman Bowl expansion. Writes Jerry on Facebook, Vail Resorts, and Matthew responds, where green means profit. Lee gives a history lesson, writing, remember Bob Maynard? He was famous for saying, it's easier to beg forgiveness than ask permission. Maynard was CEO at Keystone in the 70s, and later CEO at Aspen Ski Co. Keystone's illegal road through Alpine Tundra violates the project's NEPA plan, short for National Environmental Policy Act. Scott Fitzwilliams with the Forest Service.
It is a very simple, concise act that has massive implications. And it's only 6 pages long. If you can imagine an act of Congress only 6-7 pages long.
So what exactly do those 6 pages require?
From that 6-page act, a very complicated process has evolved, but it's that simple. We have to analyze the effects, disclose them, we have to consider alternatives, and we have to involve and inform the public.
All projects on public lands must abide by NEPA.
The resort is very eager to know where they stand as far as what can move forward with contractors and things like that. We need to determine from the NEPA process what additional steps we need to take to make sure we stay within the law.
The process now could take weeks. The original NEPA plan itself took years. State and federal lawmakers are pumping millions into wildfire mitigation. Adam Bianchi with the Dillon Ranger District on how this could help pay for the Frisco's Backyard project.
This is our bread and butter, right? We're used to doing this work, and we've gotten pretty creative on good partnerships to come up with the money to implement this.
But before then comes, you guessed it, a NEPA assessment. And Frisco is fronting the bill.
Having shovel-ready projects, being able to say, we have these projects that are ready to go, we just need funds, is incredibly effective to getting those funds released. U.S.
Representative Joe Neguse hopes to capture even more cash for wildfire with the Wildfire Response Drought Resiliency Act. Summit Sheriff and local fire warden Jamie Fitzsimons has a warning about these rainy days of summer.
The monsoon has been phenomenal for us, but if you look outside, these grasses are very tall, 2-3 feet tall.
All that thick green grass and slash on your property is kindling when it dries out.
I would say start with a weed eater and start cutting down these tall grasses on your private property. And then once you discover all the branches that have been knocked down out of your trees from the winds all summer, start picking those up.
Local fire danger remains moderate today, still with no fire restrictions in Summit. In sports, the Rockies play the Dodgers today at 6:40. And in local sports, brought to you by Red Mountain Autos at their new location on Airport Road. Today on The Warmup, local road cyclist Glenn was up at A Basin today, where he was catching a breather between the work and the reward.
How was the cycle today?
Harder than it should have been, but it's done. The downhill part remains, and I look forward to that.
Glenn's cycling schedule pairs nicely with his work schedule. He is a pilot at Frisco Flight for Life.
When I have a night shift, I'm off 8 o'clock in the morning, which gives me the opportunity to use that morning time frame to get something done before I lay down in the afternoon and take a nap.
He says this summer's workload reminds him of 2019. Busy, but not maybe as intense as 2020.
We did have a lot of people that stayed away from the crowds by venturing into backcountry, which resulted in an interesting accidents also. Not as many, but maybe a little more interesting in general.
Soon after, Glenn was back down the hill for a nap before night shift. This has been The Warm-Up, brought to you every Thursday and Friday by iFurnish in Frisco and Kremling. Phil Lindeman with your news from Avalanche Physical Therapy on Krystal 93.